What if your entire research process could automatically connect into a personal knowledge graph? In this video, we are diving deep into Recall AI, the tool that builds your second brain for you. You will see exactly how it works, how to use it, what is great about it, and what is still missing, in my opinion. If you have ever wished for a smarter way to collect and connect everything you learn, Recall might be exactly what you're looking for. Let's take a moment to look at what it actually is and where it fits in our workflow. Recall captures content from everywhere we learn, articles, videos, podcasts, and turns it into searchable, self-organizing knowledge base. Whether we are reading, watching, or listening, Recall helps us collect, structure, and review everything, automatically, but with full control over what we want and need. It builds a knowledge graph that shows how everything we have captured connects, making it easier to spot patterns and recall insights later. Today, we will walk through the complete tool and the full process, from collecting content to reviewing it and everything in between. Before we can unlock all the smart features in Recall, we need to set things up properly. Don't worry, it only takes a couple of minutes and it is totally worth it. To start using Recall, we go to getrecall.ai, the link is in the description of course, and click on Get Started. We can sign up with our Google or Apple account or use an email and password. After signing up, we will be prompted to create our first workspace and install the browser extension. The browser extension allows Recall to capture content from websites, videos, PDF files, and more seamlessly while we browse, and it also allows us to benefit from so-called augmented browsing. After installing, we should pin the extension to the toolbar, so it's always just one click away. We will look at how to use the browser extension for real-time capture and augmented browsing a little bit later. Let's start with the interface. At first glance, Recall feels clean and minimal, but there is a lot of functionality under the surface. On the left, we have the main navigation. Home shows all our cards and a list of existing tags with the respective cards grouped under each of them. The graph view will seem familiar to Obsidian users. It shows connections between cards and lets us explore them. Hovering over a node will show a preview, and clicking on that one will open the card. The review feature is where spaced repetition for all cards happens. We also get a simple chart showing our learning efforts. And settings lets us customize everything. In the top right hand corner, we find the search feature and the create card button. We will see both of them in action a bit later. The middle area is where our cards live, displayed as a timeline. We can view them as a grid or as a list and change the sort order from last updated to created at, references count, and alphabetical. For all of these, we can toggle between ascending and descending sort order. Now that we've got Recall set up, let's look at how we actually get information into it. In this part, we will explore different ways we can create and organize content, from local PDF files and online articles to YouTube videos, podcasts, and web searches. And once we have captured something, we will also see what we can do with it inside Recall. Let's start with creating different card types. When we click Create Card, we get a pop-up. Here we can select whether we want a concise or a detailed summary of the source content. Next, we select the content type. This can be a URL of a video, podcast, article, or online document, an online search of some predefined data sources, a PDF file that we want to upload, an import of our browser bookmarks or saved articles from Pocket, which has now been discontinued. We can also decide to just create a blank card to write our own ideas and notes, of course. Let's paste a YouTube link, in this case to a video about converting various file formats to markdown without uploading them to an online tool. And within a few seconds, we get a new card with interesting content. As we chose to get a concise summary, this is what Recall created for us. It used the video's transcript to give us a summary of each chapter. It also included links to the respective timestamps in the video, allowing us to jump to a specific section. Additionally, it identified relevant terms in the summary and automatically created links to either existing cards or online sources for more details. If we have existing cards, we can simply navigate to them. If the link goes to an external source, we can click it, which automatically creates a new card for that specific term with a one-sentence description. We can then use the Expand button to get more details. Of course, we can adapt this generated description by adding or removing text, highlighting relevant sections, etc. By default, we see the so-called notebook view of the card. This is where we find the initially created summary and where we can add additional information. If we switch to the reader view, we get the video's full transcript enriched with timestamps and links to relevant terms. On the Chat tab, we can ask questions about the content of a card. For example, we can ask, which file formats are supported by the converter? Recall then gives us not just a list of supported file types, but also relevant additional information and, once again, links to the exact timestamp in the video. If we consider this useful, we can easily add the information to our notebook. This creates another text block with this question and the answer, which makes it easy to extract and collect only what we need from a potentially long chat. So that's how we create cards. Now let's look at how we organize and connect them, starting with smart linking. We can highlight any term, click the lightning icon in the context menu, and choose from suggested matches. That creates a new connection instantly. The Connections tab shows how the card links to others. Here we can see them grouped by tags if the link goes to an existing card. Let's try a podcast. We click on Create Card, paste the URL, and Recall uses the episode's metadata and builds a rich card around it. Depending on the episode's length, this can take a bit. Once the card exists, we have the same options as before. But what if we don't have a specific URL and want to search for information instead? Easy. We click Create Card, click on Search, and enter the search term. For example, Battle of Waterloo. This gives us multiple results. We pick the one we want and get a new card. By now, the structure and functionality are quite familiar to us. We can also upload a PDF file, and Recall will turn it into a searchable, interactive card. Let's take this one about how to nail our next presentation. We upload it, get a new card with all the bells and whistles, and as before, we can interact with the content and fine-tune it to be exactly as we want it. Recall also lets us import our browser bookmarks or the contents from the now discontinued Pocket app. Of course, we can also create an empty note and just write our own thoughts. Great for journaling, spontaneous ideas, or brainstorming. Whatever we create, Recall makes it part of a growing, connected knowledge base. But capturing content is just a start. What if we could interact with it while browsing the web without even switching tabs? That's what we're going to look at in the next chapter, Augmented Browsing. So far, we added content to our knowledge base by pasting URLs or uploading files. That's useful, but it still feels a little bit like a separate step, right? Well, what if we could capture and explore content while browsing the web without switching apps and losing context? That's exactly what Recall's browser extension lets us do. You can install the extension via the link in the description. Once installed, I recommend pinning it to the toolbar for easy access. With this extension, we can not only create new cards in our knowledge base, but also see in real time what information we already have in there while we are browsing the web. Let's take a look at how this works. First, we need to enable the feature. In Recall, we click on Settings, scroll down to Open Browser Extension Settings, and click on Extension Settings. This opens a new window where we need to check the boxes to Enable Augmented Browser and Enable Widget. Once done, we can close this tab again. Now, when we visit a supported page like YouTube, we will see a small widget icon on the right-hand side of our browser. Hovering over it will open the Recall widget. From here we can create concise or detailed summaries, open the reader view, or disable the widget either for the current website or globally. We can also click on the previously pinned extension icon. Both options immediately create a sidebar card where we can add tags, for categorizing the card in our knowledge base. We can also switch between the notebook and reader tabs and see the card's connections based on the page's content. If we want more than a concise summary, we can add a detailed one right here too. And we can also chat with the content in this sidebar. For example, we can ask, which formats does BookFusion support? And add the answer to the card's notebook. When we are ready to go deeper, we open the card in the Recall web interface and work on it here. So that's quick capture and editing right from the browser. But augmented browsing goes further. It helps us see what we already know in real time. Let's see that in action. We are reading a blog post about the Obsidian web clipper. Because augmented browsing is on, Recall highlights any terms we have already saved in our knowledge base. For example, Obsidian and YouTube. If we hover over a highlighted word, Recall shows a pop-up with connections to our knowledge base for this specific term. We can then click on one of them and open it in Recall if we want to amend its content. This can change how we work online. Instead of just reading, we are constantly enriching and connecting what we discover with minimal effort. It also helps us avoid duplicates. Remember what we have already researched and stay in the flow. And that, to me, is the real value of augmented browsing. But that's just the start. Ideally, we learn from what we collect, or at least remember it properly. Recall helps with that too, as we are going to see in the next chapter. Now that we have collected some content, how do we actually learn from it? This is where Recall goes from helpful to powerful, with built-in tools that support active recall, hence the name, and spaced repetition. Let's look at how the Quiz tab and the Review section help us move from just taking notes to actually remembering what matters. We are back in our card for the YouTube video about converting files into markdown. We can now click on the Quiz tab. Here we can create questions manually or click on Generate Questions to let Recall do it for us. Once this is done, we can still edit, add, or delete them as we wish. Once we are happy with them, we can go through the quiz one question at a time. At the end, Recall resurfaces the ones we got wrong, so we can focus on the areas that need work. During the quiz, we can also use the Peek button to open the card and check its content for the right answer. At the end, we get a summary and the option to review more questions from other cards. Now let's talk about the review feature. This is where Recall brings together all questions across all our cards and schedules them for spaced repetition, mixing questions from multiple topics and sources. Each question tracks whether we got it right or wrong and schedules the next review based on that. There is even a simple streak chart that shows how consistent we have been in our reviews, for a little bit of extra motivation. Whether we are studying for an exam, learning something new, or just trying to retain more of what we read and watch, this feature helps us actually use our notes instead of just collecting them. Now that we have created and studied our notes, how do we navigate the growing knowledge base? In this chapter, we will explore the visual and search tools that Recall offers, the graph view and the search function, to help us find what we need and discover new connections. Let's start with the global graph. This view gives us a bird's eye perspective of how all our cards are connected. Each node is a card. The lines between them represent their relationship. We can hover over any node to see a preview. Clicking on the preview opens the full card directly from the graph. Each card also has its own mini graph showing local connections. This is useful when we want to see how one idea relates to others. Now let's look at search. When we type a keyword like markdown, Recall searches across our entire workspace, including notes, tags, and summaries. We can refine results using filters by tag, content type, or even a specific date range. Super helpful when we have got a lot of material to sift through. Once we find what we're looking for, we can jump right into it. No need to dig through folders or cards manually. Whether we are trying to recall something specific or just explore related ideas, Recall surfaces relevant cards fast and easily. Once we have captured and organized everything, how do we actually use it outside of Recall? In this chapter, we will look at how to share cards and export them, especially for workflows that involve Obsidian or other note-taking tools. The fastest way to share it with anyone is to click the link icon up here. If we want to control the access permissions, we need to use the share button instead. If we paste this link into a private or incognito window, we see the card and can even edit its contents, but saving the changes requires logging in. And if we click on a related card in the graph view, we, once again, need to log in to see that one unless it was also shared. If we want to export a card's content, we can click on the three dots, select Export to Markdown, and open the downloaded file. As you can see, Recall gives us clean, well-formatted output, perfect for pasting into Obsidian, Notion, or anywhere else we manage our notes. We can paste the Markdown content or just move the .md file into our Obsidian vault and open it directly. As you can see, all the headings, highlights, and structure are preserved perfectly. If we don't want to export a single card, but our whole knowledge base, we can do so by clicking on Settings, scrolling down to Data, and clicking on Export. This will download a zip file with all our cards and folders based on our knowledge base's tags. We have now seen how Recall works from start to finish. Let's take a moment to reflect what really stands out and where is there still room for improvement. Let's start with the good stuff. First, the experience of capturing and connecting information is seamless. Smart links, automatic graphs, it all just works. And the browser extension works exactly as I hoped it would. The built-in quiz and review functions are surprisingly effective. Spaced repetition is integrated without being overwhelming, which helps me remember more. One of the coolest features is certainly the augmented browsing. Having my knowledge base assist me while reading online saves a ton of context switching and rework. But no tool is perfect. So here are a few things I would like to see improved or added. While the Markdown export is solid, it is a bit bare bones. I'd really like to see customizable export templates, especially for front matter fields. The web search is great for facts and definitions like life expectancy. But if I ask a broader question like, what is the average life expectancy per country in 2025? It doesn't deliver yet. I also wish there were an option for bulk editing cards. Currently we can bulk delete, but it would be great to select multiple cards either manually or based on a search result and then tag them all with one or more tags. Sometimes the global graph feels a little bit unwieldy. We cannot move nodes and the clusters are far away from each other, requiring a lot of zooming and moving around to find specific nodes. Of course, we can use the categories on the left-hand side to quickly jump and zoom to specific clusters, but seeing the graph makes me want to interact with it directly. None of these are deal breakers, but they are things that would make Recall even better for me. And hey, there's a reason it's called a wish list. Alright, we have now seen what Recall can do from start to finish. Let's wrap this up with a few final thoughts and where you can go from here. I should also mention that Recall informed me they will release some exciting new features soon. This includes the option to bulk import your own Markdown notes from tools like Notion or Obsidian, chat across your entire knowledge base instead of just with single cards, and a much more powerful search engine to find what matters even faster. These features were not available when I was making this video, but from what I have seen of Recall so far, I'm sure they are going to be great. So, if you're considering Recall, now is a good time to get in early and see how it develops. If you're someone who reads, watches, listens, and learns a lot, and wants that knowledge to stay connected and accessible, Recall is a powerful tool to explore. It takes a lot of what people love about tools like Obsidian and adds an AI layer that saves us time and mental effort, which we can then use for more productive things. And if you're already using something like Obsidian, you don't have to choose. Recall can fit right into your workflow. If you want to try Recall, use the affiliate link in the description with the promo code for a 25% discount given by the sponsor Recall for my viewers. And if this video helped, leave a like, maybe a comment, And definitely subscribe for more deep dive reviews like this one. And in the meantime, check out this video, which I think will be interesting for you too. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.